Back from Alpha Charts with a monthly chart review. Today is September 30th, 2022. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Also, if you haven't checked it out yet, I do have a super follow group that I give a ton of information to. I think it's a great value for a very, very small price. Check it out at AlphaCharts365 at Twitter, on Twitter. That's at AlphaCharts365. I appreciate your support there as well. So today we have a monthly chart review. So here's what we're doing. We're going to go over the indexes on the monthly time frame. We're going over the sectors on a monthly time frame. Then we're going to go over the top market cap stocks on the monthly time frame to get a much fuller picture, broader picture of what's going on in this market. Okay. So we only get these 12 times a year, so they're real special, these monthly charts. So let's dig into them. First is going to, oh, by the way, chart setup real fast. Volume over here on the monthly time scale. This is the 50-month moving average. Why the 50-month moving average? Because that's what I chose. But you see here is also kind of held here. There's something, I won't say special about it, but it does seem like in the past, many of these charts respected this particular area. So we'll see if it, and again, moving averages are just for trend alignment, basically. And so we'll take a look at that too. Okay. So here's Dow Jones Industrial on the monthly time frame. We'll just kind of zoom in a little bit, and it is breaking that 50-month moving average. And this area, which in the past has been kind of resistance, and maybe even a little support too in this area, something like that. So let's just see where that is. I bet you we're gonna find a lot of these. That's only 8% lower, but this will be an important area if we come down to retest it. I'm gonna try to move my face here. I hope that shows up in the video too. All right, so Dow Jones full on breaking down lower highs, lower lows on the monthly. The first, this 270-ish area, maybe 265, 270. That's the first area that might offer some kind of support, hopefully. Volume, nothing crazy, but it's kind of interesting there. Let's go to SPX. Here's SPX, and here is my big SPX chart from 1932. I like a line chart. Sometimes it's kind of easier to see. This is a potential 5-wave pattern. Here is a beautiful uptrend line from the 1932 lows. So how far away from the uptrend line are we on the monthly chart? Well, pretty far away, right? So we're hoping that we don't touch it. That'd be really, really bad if we did. But let's just kind of go back to the bars and see what's going on here. So we saw the Dow Jones, which was below the 50-day. Now, SPX hasn't quite hit that area yet, right? It's still above the 50-month moving average. And it's coming into this potential area of supply here. Then there's a potential area, and not supply, of support here. Potential area down here, 29.27, and then potentially over here. So lots of areas before we could even potentially hit this trend line. And this trend line we could hit potentially at some point in the future, right? No one says that we're not going to go sideways into it as well. Or maybe it's not even relevant anymore. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. Again, I'm not calling for us to hit it anytime soon, but it is out there. Looking at Ndx, Nasdaq, Nasdaq 100. Again, we have a channel that broke to the upside and now is coming back in. Let's just go ahead and extend this line, something like that, and we'll see what happens if and when it reaches this bottom trend line right here again. August 2020, it didn't respect this at all, and then just kind of went cannonball, from there. So, so we'll see if it's trend line again, lower highs, lower lows on the 50-month moving average right now. And that's gonna, unfortunately, if things don't recover soon, probably start to flatten out, and we'll see what happens there. So that's NDQ, mid caps, MDY. All right, here's the mid caps and on the monthly, and you see a little bit more structure on this one. Very easy to see where the resistance was, the breakout, and then the fallback. And we'll see if this ends up being support or not. Around 373, right? But it's right there at the 50-month moving average again, which seems to be an important moving average, right? Every time it gets to it, it kind of bounces. Didn't here for COVID, and didn't right here. So if it doesn't respect it, it's actually at important inflection points. So it not respecting the 50 days is probably a lot of information as well. And looking at IWM, looks a lot like the mid caps, but it is already here. And let's just get rid of these arrows because they made sense on the daily and weekly time frames. Now look at this. It's already got a flattening 50-month. It's below it. It's right on its, we'll call it support area. If it breaks down from here, I think this 126 level is very possible. Again, it doesn't have to go that far down, but that's another 23 to 24, 25%, something like that, 20 to 25%. That's a big deal, right? So IWM looking very weak. And again, small caps being a higher risk appetite type of index, you don't want to see that leading to the downside. Again, that's another just big time risk off indicator. Now, saying that we may not get a bounce here, and but the way this is looking, that any bounce may be a dead cat bounce or short covering bounce potentially. All right, those are the indexes. Let's get into the individual sectors now. Energy. So this is why I love monthly charts, right? Because now we can see back in 2008, and look, energy came right back up to that 2008 level and just backed off big time. So we know above this $93, and I think you could be long energy, right? That's going to be a huge leader. And if this just rolls over, it just rolls over, right? But really interesting spot, and look at how beautifully that that retested and then just kind of fell back. So $93 on XLE, right? Above 93, and I think very likely to be long energy. All right, look at XLF. So this is one of the most important charts out there. We have our 2007 highs, right? Great financial crisis, whatever, right? Resistance. Now, does this hold a support? It's right there, right on the 50-month, right on the support level. If this breaks down from here below the 50-month and below the support level, that's a huge deal, right? I think this whatever you want to call it, this correction, bear market, whatever, is going to be going a lot lower. Okay, so XLF, another one to watch. So XLE, a big deal chart. XLF, a big deal chart. Next up, let's look at industrials. Again, I haven't looked at monthlies since last month, so let's see what happens. Look at industrials, right back on a support area. Yes, it could bounce. We don't know what's going to happen. It was a bit, an ugly month, obviously, below the 50-month moving average. But again, holding support for now. We'll see what happens next month, and throughout this month, obviously. But just looking back, if it breaks this area, I can see $58, right? I mean, this is where I would kind of put my next, something like this, right? Again, it's industrials, it's a big deal, it's transports and all that kind of stuff is in there. 25-30% move. That's a pretty big move if it happens. All right. XOK technology, right? That's a big deal too. Breaking down from this area right here, right lower, still above the 50-month though. That's kind of nice to see. And let's see where this. So this was kind of an interesting area right here. This is $68. Again, I'm not calling for it to come down that way, but that's a major area right there. That'd be a 46% move. That'd be huge, right? But I think I'm gonna draw back in just because it's a big deal here and here. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with this. Again, XOK has all your technology pieces in there, all your more growthy type names, semiconductors, all that kind of stuff. So that's a big deal. Again, above the 50-month, but breaking this general area right here. We'll see if the 50-month can offer some kind of support-ish, or at least buyers showing up. But this looks pretty bad in technology. XLV healthcare holding up better than the rest, right? I mean, still kind of above, the June lows. I mean, doesn't look great breaking down from this particular area, but above the 50-month. So yeah, I mean, that's what we got, right? So holding up better than the bunch, but still trying to break down again. 110-ish is where the 50-month is, so that's a big deal right there. XLY. Oops, XLY. Here's XLY on the monthly. And again, holding a particular area right over here, this, 134, 135-ish area, whatever, 132. But right below the 50-month. And I think if it takes out this low right here, things can get really, really nasty, really, really fast. I mean, just looking quickly, I think this is a big area right here. Not that it's going to go all the way down there, right? We don't know, but that's definitely an area I'm watching. That's a gigantic move. Holy smokes. But this could be an area right here too. And that's probably close to that 20% or so. Okay, 16%. So that would be another area of potential support, right? So again, it doesn't have to go all the way down here. But again, it's not looking great being below the 50-month moving average, right? Not what we want to see. All right, that was consumer discretionaries. So communications. Oh, wow. So this one's made up of basically Facebook and Google, right? There's a few other companies in there, but those are by far the biggest ones. And you could see it is below the I don't want to call it IPO, but the inauguration date, which is really bad and not really all that far from all-time lows, right? So I'm gonna just put we'll say all-time lows will be a potential area for support, right? And from here, you're only about 18% from that. So that's in our range of where the market could go. Another, 20 to 25%, I think, is a good possibility. Yeah, communications looks very, very weak. Utilities, XLU. Oof. Outside month, it looks like, right? What was the high there? 7805. Yep. Outside month to the downside. That looks really bearish. Yeah, really, really bearish. And think about it, rising interest rates. A lot of times people are in utilities because of the yield, but you could be in a government bond or an interest rate bearing product at least. And with rising rates, it may give you a better return than the utility. So it kind of makes sense in that respect. But got up here to all-time highs and then just reversed very quickly. All right, XLP Staples. Oh, man, these charts are more bad and badder. All right, let's go back how far. Okay, this goes back that far. Perfect. All right, so 50-month still intact. Kind of nice to see there, and I could see maybe, this area maybe. Something like that. I think it's right on that potential support with the 50-month right underneath it. So it's holding the 50-month right now. A breakdown there, a breakdown in this area. And, you could go much lower. But again, nasty, nasty bar for the month. 2 down and just looks really bad. So be careful there in the staple category. I'm looking for anything in the uptrend right now. The only one was maybe healthcare, right? That was the only one that I said, could be. And I guess maybe XLE too, right? Energy. What else? This was staples, XLB. Right, here we go. Materials. Below the 50-month. And I would probably move this to something like that. Area of support down below. Materials just look terrible as well. Breaching the 50-month, not looking great. And then let's look at real estate. And I just muted my wife. She's trying to call me, so I am in big trouble now, just so y'all know. All right, here we go. And this is real estate, and you can see is back here testing potential support. 50-month is well below the 50-month. We'll see if this offers any support. So the only sectors that I really liked was XLE, right? If this can kind of consolidate and break out on the monthly, that would be something for sure. And XLV looks okay too, I thought. Those two looked good. Everything else looks pretty rough. Now let's go into the biggest market cap stocks, right? So we'll start with Apple, of course, is the biggest. We're going to go from biggest down. So on the monthly, Apple is holding up okay. Had a rough week, down 12%, but overall, it's above the 50-month and it's actually doing okay. So don't write Apple off yet. Can it, if it breaks this area, can it go down to the 50-day, a 50-month? Keep saying 50-day, but it's 50-month. Answer is yes. Is that within our 20 to 25% move? It is. So this is a potential area right here, right? So let's watch for that. Microsoft. But again, Apple was looking okay. Here's Microsoft. Microsoft looks worse than Apple, right? Again, still above the 50-month, right on potential support. But if this breaks, you got, I won't say a volume pocket here. That's not exactly right. It's Microsoft, right? But, to the next potential area, I mean, you have this here, maybe one over here at 181. There's a decent amount of room to the downside in Microsoft too, if this area breaks, if the 50-month breaks. Again, looks a little bit worse than Apple, right? Google looks a little bit worse than Microsoft, right? I had drawn in this bear flag and it broke the bear flag and it's going down. There's your 50-month again, still above it, but we talked about how bad communications was. Google's a big piece of that. Looks pretty bad. And this next level is, look at that, in that 20 to 25% range down. A lot of support is about 20 to 25% lower. If you get the break to the downside, you may have a big move, maybe a quick move too. Amazon. Right there, below the 50-month. That's a big deal. And right on support, basically. So not a good look for Amazon. Holding support, though. If it holds the $100 area, you're fine in Amazon, right? If it breaks 100, Amazon could get kind of nasty. Tesla. All right. Holding up better than most, right? It looks more like Apple than anything else. Let's go ahead and draw in the support right there, right? That's got to be the support. I mean, it's got to hold this 180 to 200 range. Okay, and we say that, and that's a big move, right? So if we go down to that, look at that, 25% or so, 20, 25, 30%, whatever, somewhere in that range. So Tesla can just be moving sideways in a gigantic wide range and still be in an uptrend on the monthly chart. Again, beautiful looking chart, Tesla here. And I think that, again, may just need to move sideways some, work off this, right? I mean, think about this. From 2019 to 2021, 2 years, it's up 2,430%. So now it's just digesting. That's what it looks like to me, but it still can go down another 25% and still be in a monthly uptrend. Tesla, that's let's do Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway, the proud owners, a lot of Oxy recently. Okay, right on support above the 50-month. But if that support breaks and the 50-month goes next level below is, let's see, about 15%. Remember, Berkshire's more like a conglomerate because they have a ton of businesses bundled up into there. So they're a little bit diversified between oil and gas and financials and insurance and whatever, Apple, McDonald's, whatever, Bank of America. But again, this looks more like a top than a bottom, right? So we'll see if this area breaks. If it does, again, you have the 50-month at 240 and then this 225 area. United Healthcare. Oh, healthcare looks good, right? I mean, that's probably the best chart we've seen so far. Look at this. Healthcare looks good. United Healthcare looks good. I mean, nice strong uptrend. You can actually, probably, there's a nice little uptrend. It's just on the line up, right? So there's your support at 439, 440. But as of right now, everything looks really good in healthcare land. Next up, J&J. Let's see. J&J. Looking at this chart, again, holding up better than most. It's a healthcare stock, right? So holding up better than most, looks pretty good. Again, just moving kind of sideways. Is this ever going to be a gigantic winner? Probably not, but it's not losing and it's holding its 50-month. And again, holding support here. If you have to be invested in something, why not in a healthcare name like this, right? XOM. We talked about gas, oil and gas names, and look at this. Something like that, right? We'll say something like that. So XOM bumped up over here in 2008, 2014, and over here again in 2022, right? And we don't know what's going to happen here. But if it breaks above $100, we'll call it, right? The psychological $100 mark, XOM above 100, and I think it's a buy. Oil and gas is a buy. XOM above 100, very clean area to manage risk against. This is why I love monthly charts, right? You get to filter out a lot of the noise on the daily and even the weekly charts. And look at that, XOM, beautiful look to it, and a very clean level. Visa, again, not a very good look to it, breaking down below the 50-month, right? Below the 50-month, nasty little bar, 10% down for this month. And and I think probably something like here, right? I don't know. That 150-ish area, which is 15% lower, could maybe even come down here, right, to 132. That's probably close to the 25%. So somewhere in there makes sense to me, whether it's here or here. I'm gonna leave it here for now. But a bad look to Visa, right? Meta, Facebook. I mean, just as ugly as it could go. Had a falling wedge. I guess it's still in a falling wedge on the monthly in a lot of ways. And maybe it breaks it to higher. But right now, it looks pretty bad, and it looks like it wants to break lower. And that's why the communication sector is bad. And again, this chart just looks absolutely terrible. Looking at the monthly, though, if it's going to dig in somewhere, it will probably be right here, right? This is the place where it's going to dig in. And you have the 50-month already starting to turn lower. So Facebook hasn't been a good stock, for a while. It's saying it's kind of, it's been a while. A little run right here, a little run right here. But if you take out, those two little runs overall, hasn't been that great since 2018. And it's right back to basically 2016 levels. Again, if it breaks this area, though, Facebook can fall very, very far. I'd be very careful with that particular stock. Walmart, right? Holding up nicely. Holding up very nicely. Let's go back a little bit in this chart. It's a beautiful uptrend. It did break the uptrend. So we'll see if this is like a little bear flag right here on the monthly. Right, very well could be. Kind of something like this, right? Very well could be a bear flag right there. Looking at potential support resistance, maybe like this area right here, and then you may get that type of move. And again, it's a solid company, obviously, but we only want charts going up. Yeah, that's about in the 20% or so, especially if this goes higher, then breaks down or something. Yeah, so I could definitely see a 20% move to the downside potentially. And that's on Walmart. So not looking good all that much there. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors. We knew this would look bad because XLK looked bad and semiconductors have been taking on the chin. Again, below the 50-month. Nothing pretty about this chart at all. Just looking at SMH real fast on the monthly. It looks almost identical, to be honest with you. Looks terrible. So again, if semiconductors are going down, it's hard to be bullish any technology area. Next up, JP Morgan, right? We saw banks hanging on by a thread, and JP Morgan is again under the flat now, 50-month moving average. They've been in business forever, haven't they? I guess they have like 100-something years, right? That's an area right there that could be interesting. I just don't see a ton, maybe above this area. It's an important stock, right? But it's below a flat 50-month. And so most likely it's going to be to the downside. And 38% to the downside. I mean, I don't know if that's going to hit that. Potentially, you could have area right here, right? This could be support right here, potentially. I mean, there's a lot of areas. So I hate to put an exact number on this one, but JP Morgan looks bad. I would not be in a financial right now at all. All right, Eli Lilly. Healthcare has been good. And Eli Lilly, and let's just move this out of here. That's not for you. Eli Lilly looks fantastic, right? I mean, near all-time highs, 50-month moving higher. By far the best stock I've seen on this video so far, by far. So this is an interesting one, right? Eli Lilly looks great. Not much more to say about that. Procter and Gamble, not looking great. Testing the 50-month down below it. Again, this will be the area that could potentially hold. Again, we may see a bounce next month. What do we know, right? Or at least in part of the month. But if this area breaks, things could get really, really nasty. 2 more to go. Nvidia. Again, chip stock breaking down. It's kind of what we'd expect, right? Things aren't looking good here at all. Next point of potential support, if this area is broken, that's 38%. That'd be pretty nasty. I do think that's at an important level right here. And maybe it gets a bounce, but it's right below the 50-month, looking pretty bad. And the last one is going to be CVX. That's Chevron Corporation, oil and gas name. And let's see what this looks like. It looks pretty good, right? I mean, it's like not that far from all-time highs, kind of bull flag-ish, right? If it breaks the downtrend line and goes back to all-time highs, I think oil and gas could be a spot. So, I mean, that's what I learned from this. I want to be in 2 sectors right now. I want to be in XLV. XLV, right? XLV looks pretty good. If it holds, I think Eli Lilly was for the mega caps looked fantastic. J&J didn't look that bad, but United Healthcare looked great, right? Yeah, so XLV looked good. And I think that we said XLE, if energy can break above 92, that would be a big deal. If XOM, if ExxonMobil can get back to all-time highs, breaking 100, that's a big deal. If CVX can break this downtrend line, get back to all-time highs, or at least break the downtrend line, almost all-time highs, that's a big deal. So those are where this next month I'll be trying to focus on for my charts, because that is what is holding up the best in this market. All right. I hope this monthly review was helpful for you. I know it's very helpful for me. It didn't take that long to do. And again, you really see what the market is doing by looking at the indexes, sectors, and the largest stocks by market cap. Okay. Good luck with everything this month. Check me out at AlphaCharts365 on Twitter. Become a super follow. I think it's totally worth it, but I am biased. And check out my YouTube channel as well. Like and subscribe to everything that I'm a part of. Thank you so much. Have a great day.